assuming in Sharia, you'll be very keen to practice this particular law. I'm assuming. Yeah? So here is the deal. I'm going to show to you how the God of the Bible is against this principle.
Yeah, you can't divorce the Bible.
What's wrong with that? What's your point?
No, you can't.
Because you have got 500 Bibles now,
but
as far as I know.
Please hold on to this thought. The
And if you
point
want to go
is-
to the British Museum,
Please hold on
we'll
to
find
this
them.
point. The point is, if you are married to someone, divorced by saying talak talak twice,
Three times.
then if
That's
you
not how
want to
talaq
marry
works.
her, then if you want to
Talaq
marry,
doesn't even mean.
then
That's
if
not
you
how
want,
talaq works.
then
What does talaq means?
sorry, then if you want to marry her, she needs to marry someone else before this guy, the first guy, could marry. Let us see what the God of the Bible has to
Which
say
verse is
about
he
this.
referring to?
Baqarah
Baqarah
229.
229. Yeah.
229. And what did he say?
Say something about
He still haven't said anything. He's just saying.
So
So
what
about
we
the
have
similar-
got is different from
Let's
we
see
have
what the
there.
Bible has to say.
Okay,
This is
yeah.
very, very important.
Okay, go.
Prophet Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Prophet Jeremiah.
Old Testament.
But-
Wow.
Okay, but which
You're going
Bible?
to
But which
look at
Bible?
divorce in the Old Testament when your New Testament has actually forbidden it, prohibited it.
Hashim, can I please suggest to you something? You came a bit late.
It doesn't matter. Better late than never.
He knows about it. He knows about it.
Therefore,
But do you know that in the New Testament,
Yeah.
and therefore,
in the New Testament, they're not allowed to divorce at all.
excuse me. No,
Not against all. Sheikh Mohammed, you're the perfect man for this.
That's irrelevant. Irrelevant.
He's talking about
I
talaq.
want to get on
I can't
to
find a better
something
person than you here.
What does Prophet Jeremiah reveal as what's in God's heart?
Yes.
Let us see if
It's
Prophet
okay, it's okay. We
Jeremiah
got Sheikh
is
Mohammed now.
happy with triple talaq. Yeah? This is what Prophet Jeremiah says, chapter 3, verse 1. They say, if a man divorces his wife,
229 Baqarah.
are you
Surah
listening?
Al-Baqarah.
Yep.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. They say if a man divorces his wife and she goes from him and becomes another man's, may he return
That's the
to
verse
her
he's talking
again.
about.
May he
He's saying
even
the-
return to her again. And then it goes on. Would not that land be polluted
Oh yeah.
greatly?
Assalamu alaikum. Which sister?
This is God of the Bible. Yahweh's
Say
judgment.
salam to them, mashallah.
No.
Oh, are they live?
Yahweh's
No, you're just taking
Torah,
video.
I'm talking about, my dear friend, Yahweh's Torah is what I'm talking about. Allah, Islamic Allah, thinks, triple talaq, if you want to marry her again, then she needs to become another man's wife before you can marry.
That's not true, actually.
What
That's not
does the
true.
God of the Bible say? What does the God of the Bible say? God of the Bible says, the moment you have divorced your wife and she becomes another man's, you can never ever get back to her.
Okay.
I'll read the verse again, please, and then I'll let you
Wait,
speak.
what does it say in the New Testament?
No, excuse me. No. Let's put it.
It's prohibited. Divorce.
I'm going
End
to,
of.
Excuse me.
Except in adultery. Except in adultery.
I'm going to read this verse,
Yeah, yeah.
my dear friend. My dear
That's why
friend,
they all
I'm
do
talking
adultery, to
about-
get
I'm
out of
talking
divorce.
about- I'm talking about
In
the
the
Old
West.
Testament now.
Yeah.
Let us see.
Well, not all of them.
Yahweh of the Old
Not all
Testament.
of them, but you know what I mean.
Yahweh of the Old Testament, I'm clearly going to
Majority now,
demonstrate
you
is
can say.
clearly against the triple talaq. I'll read this verse again and then I'll let you respond to it. I'll pose a question and then you can respond to this, please. This is what Jeremiah prophet says. They say.
Will you just let him speak, or do we have a
they
chance as
say-
well?
I don't know. He
Because
wants to finish.
he's been speaking for quite a while now, and you haven't responded at all.
They say.
No, I'm asking what's in the New Testament.
By the way, he said that if she gets
Excuse me.
divorced,
Hashim.
then she can go back to her old husband. Sorry, the old husband by sleeping with somebody else.
Excuse me.
But that's not what it says in the ayah. You see, he actually interpreted it himself rather than allow
I
the
didn't
ayah
interpret
to sleep.
anything. I read from your own Quran.
And the idea you got is very
Did I
clear here.
interpret
Look,
anything?
look here, it
Yeah,
says.
you can read that for
Look
yourself.
here, it
answer
says.
you.
And if
Once
he
you
has
make-
divorced her,
One-
and if he has divorced her for the third time, that she is not lawful to him afterwards until she marries a husband other than him.
Doesn't give the same
And
message.
wait. And if the latter husband divorces her or dies, there is no blame upon the woman.
Did you see that?
Okay, but
Until she gets married to another man.
let me finish.
That's the point.
There is no blame on the woman
Sir, we have huge problems with you. I don't
and
think
her
the comment
former
will-
husband
So-
for returning to each other. By the way, you know the former husband? Yes, it doesn't mean this is a planned thing.
Hashim,
That in order for her,
if you're confident about your argument,
No, you have
me
spoken
finish
a lot.
my
You have
point.
spoken a lot.
Let
I've
me
seen you
finish
like
my
at least 3
point,
minutes
and then
here.
you can
You should give everyone a
confidently
chance.
speak it. Confidently
How long
speak
you
it.
gonna take? how much longer are you going to
Is
take?
that a problem? We're talking about serious stuff here.
Exactly,
Sharia,
exactly.
Torah. So if you,
Serious
I'm
stuff.
going to finish.
If
I'm
it's
going to finish in a minute or so,
Okay.
and then pose the
Okay,
question.
we'll give you a minute,
And I'd
no
like
problem.
you to respond back. So, my dear friend, so the question.
He knows that.
So, I'm going to read to you the verse from the Bible again.
He said he's going to take a
And then
minute.
I'm going
Let's see.
to, again, yes. And then I'm going to ask a specific question to you for you to respond back.
Basically,
yeah?
he's saying about,
So
you know,
what
when
does
you
the
give
God of the
talaq.
Bible say?
Yes, exactly.
Prophet Jeremiah
It's
chapter
haram in
3
Islam.
verse 1.
We have to educate them
They
about this.
say, if a man divorces his wife and she goes from him and becomes another man's, may he return to her again? Is the question mark. How can he? The exclamation. Let me finish. Let me finish and then I'll let you speak. Yeah? May he return to her again? And then God comments, gives an answer. This was a rhetorical question. God gives an answer. Would not that land be greatly polluted? Polluted. In other words, Yahweh thinks once you marry someone, send her away, divorcing her, to get her back in any context,
We get the point. We get the
pollution
point.
of the land. God of Islamic Allah, other Quran thinks that's fine as long as she marries one more person
said that
and
already.
comes back.
You're repeating
Question
You're
to you.
repeating
The
yourself
Bible is
now.
saying-
How would you?
Is that halal?
Question.
Halal is haram.
The question to you. Question to you is,
Yes.
how would you reconcile these two very obviously contradictory commands or ideas or things in God's mind?
I'm not an expert in this. but
How
I
would
will-
you contradict? How would you reconcile these contradiction part?
I'm not an expert in this, but I will say, why are you following the Old Testament now when normally you don't follow the Old Testament?
That's not the
That's
question.
a very
You're
good question,
answering my
actually.
No,
It's a
but
very
you're-
good
you're
question.
Not
going
answering
to
my
the New
so
Testament.
When he
I
feels
can
like they go to the
answer
Old
that
Testament.
question. So,
No,
that's-
but I'm
Shall I
asking
put it
you,
this way?
Can I just ask? The New Testament is also part of the Bible, right? What does it say about divorce in the New Testament?
Yes,
That's
good
my
question.
That's also the Bible. So why are you separating both the Old Testament and New Testament?
Yeah.
Why don't you want
To answer you, what the New Testament says, the New Testament, for your information, is even more rigid.
So does it
Not
allow
more-
divorce or not?
Excuse me, Hashim.
That was the question she asked.
She
Does
has
it allow
asked a
divorce?
question. I have ears just like you.
Good.
You don't have to interrupt every now and then. The point is simple.
Don't-
Ask me a question. Your question was, what does the New Testament have to say about a similar situation? New Testament is even more rigid, not less rigid.
What's wrong with you?
New Testament is even more rigid. What does the New Testament say? The moment someone divorces a lady, apart from for sexual immorality,
Adultery.
anyone else who marries her is committing adultery, which is even more rigid. My problem is
In
this.
other words, no
My problem-
divorce allowed.
Excuse me.
Only in the case of adultery.
Excuse me. My problem is this.
What's wrong with that?
The God of my problem is
So,
Yahweh.
sister, if a
One
husband
second,
beats
one second,
her,
one second.
if a husband beats
Excuse
a
me,
black and blue,
excuse me,
she
no, no,
cannot
no,
get
no, no,
divorced
excuse me.
unless she commits adultery.
No, let's not throw in very
That's the only way you can get.
very firm points. Very firm points.
So even an 18-year-old, if she gets
That's a
divorced
very,
in
very
Christianity,
fair point. Very fair point.
she will be
Hashim,
called
I'm willing.
an adulteress.
So now coming back, let me remind you.
By the way, can we answer your first
I
question?
know what you're saying.
Let us
I said
answer
I'm
your
not
first question.
expert. Therefore, I cannot answer.
Why don't you delegate it to
No,
Sheikh?
one second.
Yeah, no, but
But
the
do
thing
you
is-
at least see?
He literally
No,
just- okay.
my dear friend, you don't need to be.
Your friend, but
No.
okay, cool.
Okay, so my dear, not my friend.
Just say sister.
So, my dear, not my friend. The point is, you need not be
Sister in
you
humanity.
You need not be an expert in either Sharia or in Torah to answer my simple question. The question is
Actually,
about
you do need
basic
some knowledge.
logic. The
This is why he chose the Torah. He didn't
I
want to
know.
talk about the Bible
I
at
know.
The
all.
question is about basic logic. Islamic Allah thinks a lady, once a man divorces her twice, if she needs to marry him again, she needs to marry someone else.
No,
before
it
she
doesn't
comes
say
back.
that in the Quran at all. This is
before she
called
comes back.
planned, and that is haram. This is called planned, and that is the one that is
So
haram.
don't
Whereas-
finish.
Yeah.
The
In the
man-
Quran, it says,
One second. Can
in
I
the
please finish
coincidence
the
that
question
she
again?
gets divorced,
Whereas
and she remarries,
Whereas Yahweh of the Bible thinks,
you have completely
man-
misconstrued the
a
Quran.
man, once he divorces his wife, could never ever get back to her.
Let's repeating
and
himself, this guy.
if he can get back to her, that would greatly pollute the pollute the land.
Yeah, but-
So how can you reconcile two irreconcilable ideas?
Can I answer that question if you don't
There's
mind?
only one way I could
Or maybe let's shake it out?
Only one way I
Okay.
could suggest, which is obvious.
So you're asking the question and you're answering the question. Wow. Arul,
please tell me how
Arul, get
you
down.
reconcile.
You really need to get down from the high horse
Hashim.
and let other people respond.
I really.
Let's
please
shake.
go
Let's
for it.
shake come in.
Go on.
Let him respond. Sister, will you be? Is it okay if you delegate it to him?
Yeah, she can. Okay. How would you reconcile these two?
We don't need to reconcile the Old Testament with the Quran. We don't need to. Why should we?
I still know what you're saying, but I still don't know.
Torah,
Land is not allowed.
Torah,
Why is this copied from Quran?
Sharia. How would you reconcile these two? These are obviously contradictory. How would you
No, but
reconcile?
why are you completely ignoring what you just said about New Testament?
New Testament
Where
is
it
even
says-
more rigid.
You just completely, even more rigid. It literally just said if she gets married again, the guy is committing adultery.
In other words, it's even worse. The point is, Bible.
So is
once you
it
divorce
right
someone-
not to allow the
once you
women to divorce
someone-
in a legitimate reason?
No, that's a long story.
Ah, long story. Wow.
Excuse me. You are not.
Wow.
Islam is not the first religion to introduce divorce. So if you think that is the case, better read
You
your
didn't say
history.
that.
When did I say Islam is the first one to
You seem
introduce
to- you
divorce?
seem to
I'm
imply
saying
that.
I'm saying a
You just
woman.
said, does it
I'm
not
saying
allow
in the
divorce?
21st century, a Christian woman
Question.
doesn't even have the right to divorce from her husband if he beats her black and blue.
Yes, please.
The only way she can get
Let the
divorced.
lady speak, please.
Yeah.
This is.
That's
it's
a
not off
separate
topic,
issue
it's-
and there is an answer to that. That's a separate
Let the
question.
lady
No, I
speak,
love
please.
it when
Thank you.
we're talking about killing children Old Testament, when it talks about not eating pork in the
You're
Old
not dealing
Testament,
with
when
the
it comes
point
to wearing
here.
hijab Old Testament. Oh no, that's
Exactly.
Old Testament.
Push it under the
You don't
bus.
follow that.
But when they
New
need it-
You're not
Testament.
dealing with your point now.
How am I not dealing with the
How
point?
can Yahweh of the Bible be the same as Islamic Allah of the Quran?
Did we say it's the same? We never said it's the same.
Obviously,
Strawman
they
argument.
have contradictory
That's
views.
called a strawman argument.
Not at all.
And it says
Who asked you?
Very good. So, would you agree in public that Yahweh, God of the Bible,
You wanna
is
come
not
in?
the same
Or you want me to
as
push you in?
Islamic Allah of the Quran? Would you be willing
Come
to
on,
agree
Sheikh.
that?
definitely not, because the New Testament says
Sister, let's shake answer because he wants an answer. If he's a sincere man, he will ask. He will accept an answer from anyone. So let's Sheikh Muhammad come in. Yes, please.
There you go.
Yeah,
Check. But
Why are you sweating now, by the way?
Hashim,
Calm down.
whoa. I'm terribly. You know why I'm sweating? It's called the sun.
I know.
You get to learn science. Hashim, yeah, come on.
By the way, it was a joke. So don't be so uptight. It was a joke. Calm down. You don't need to bring the sun.
It's a silly joke.
Well, people laugh, so they were not silly.
Oh, okay. So it's a good joke. Thank you.
Which one is it? Good or silly? Make up your mind. It's like the Trinity. You can't make up your mind. Okay, so answer the question to the Sheikh. He'll answer you.
So
Do you agree?
listen.
Would you? Okay, now the expert here is going to answer for us. Now,
Without
did you
twisting
hear
it.
my question? Did you hear my question?
Repeat your question, please.
So repeat. The question is simple. Quran,
standing
Surah
behind me.
2,
How will you get the
ayah
shot?
230 things.
Come this side.
So let me read to you. Just so you say I'm interpreting, I'm giving my interpretation. Let me read what it says.
Actually, put this on you as well.
And if he has divorced her, 229 it says divorce must be pronounced twice. Divorce must be pronounced twice and then must be retained and so on. It goes into...
No, read it fully. Read it fully.
And
Because
then
if you leave it out,
and
means
if he has
the
divorced
meaning.
her,
Okay.
then she is not lawful to him after that until she has wedded another husband. So triple talaq, the idea is you're divorced twice. Now if you need to marry the guy again, you need to be married to someone else before that. That's a Quran.
No, okay.
It doesn't say if you want to be
can
married.
clarify
All
once
right.
I finish. Yeah.
That is a plan
The
thing.
Allah, Islamic Allah of the Quran thinks you can get back to the husband, the first husband. But let me read to you what Yahweh of the Bible
Can I
thinks.
say
You
something?
can, you can once I finish.
Okay,
and then,
yeah, all
and
right.
then I'll let
How
you
long
let
it takes you to? Okay.
Just one and a half more minutes.
Okay.
So what does Yahweh of the Bible think? Let me read to you again. If a man divorces his wife and she goes from him and becomes another man's, may he return to her again? Rhetorically he's asking, may he return to her again?
Yeah.
Would not that land be greatly polluted? So Yahweh of the Bible thinks the moment you leave, you can't come back. It's a
cannot come back.
one-way street. That's Yahweh of the Bible.
Which means divorce
Clearly-
eternally.
No, one second. Clearly contradictory
Okay.
to the Torah.
Which is divorce eternally. Are you saying this?
One second. Clearly contradictory to the Sharia as given in the Quran. The question to you is, there is I can see only one way to reconcile these two, and that is by saying clearly Yahweh of the Torah is completely opposite in character to Islamic Allah of the Quran. Completely. I'm not even talking about.
I think
Excuse me,
I
sir.
think I got the point.
Excuse me, sir. He's the
Okay.
expert here. He's the
Okay.
expert.
I got
He's
your
the
point. I got your
expert.
point.
The point
I
is.
got your point. I got your point.
One last
I got your
clarification.
point.
I'm not even saying they are different slightly. I'm saying they are polar opposites. Explain how else, if not
So
for
it's
the
Old
fact that they are
Testament, New
different,
Testament.
how would you explain this, please?
Okay. Now this is another problem. Can I? The question I will respond in the same way to you. Now, in the Old Testament, Yahweh of the Old Testament is saying to the people, to the Jews, that when the divorce is one go, there is no way to return. That's it. So divorce for eternal. So this one, and then we have another saying in the same Bible which you are holding, which is the Jesus of the New Testament is saying, no, you cannot divorce at all. Now here, can't you see there is again contradiction between this and this? Can you see that? Absolutely. Can you see this? Can you see there is someone is saying you can't divorce, but if you divorce, that's it, is eternal. You cannot come back. And the other side is saying you cannot divorce. Now the question is Yahweh in the Old Testament, is he Jesus?
So are you
So that's the first question.
Am I not?
Yeah, so just want to know, just want to clarify for me. That's called.
No, let the lady.
Listen.
Let the lady listen.
This is called clarification. Do you believe Jesus in the Old Testament is the same as Yahweh yourself?
Is this my
Yeah,
turn now?
just clarification.
No. You finish your point.
Let's
and then
call
I'll clarify.
clarification.
You can have your questions. I'll answer them together.
He's God in the Old Testament.
Okay, so if Jesus in the Old Testament is the same one who's commanding his people, if you divorce, there is a divorce, but you cannot do it. Why Jesus changed his mind, as you said, because you changed his mind. Why he changed his mind in the New Testament, saying to him, no, you cannot divorce at all. How is that? Don't you say again that it's not just only against each other. You're talking about someone in the east and someone in the west. Now here, this is the question to you, and then we'll come back to my point. Now it's your turn.
It's my turn?
Yes.
No? Thank you. Thank you very much. So the main point you really need to know, which you should also note, by the way, you're expert, by the way, hasn't answered a simple question I raised, which is Islamic Allah doesn't seem to be the same as Yahweh of the Bible, and
never
they
said
seem
he
to
was.
be, they seem
never
to
said
be
he was.
polar opposites in
Strong
moral
argument.
character. He hasn't answered that particular challenge I raised. That's
Which one?
That's fine. No, wait a second, Ray.
Okay.
So you need to know that he hasn't answered.
But you haven't answered anything either.
I'm going to answer now.
Okay, answer now.
I just wanted.
Okay,
I
answer
just
me,
wanted you
and
to know we would give your expert any number of chances.
One point by point.
Let us see if he ever answers the question. Now he asked me a question. And his question was, New Testament apparently says you can't divorce at all, and therefore to him that's contradictory to the Old Testament, and that is where he thinks that the New Testament God is not the same as the Old Testament God. That is his logical argument. Fundamentally, his argument is fallacious, number one, and it's incorrect in the verse.
He didn't
that
make an
quoted.
argument.
Excuse me, Hashim. We
Okay,
don't
okay.
need your
argument,
comment.
man.
No problem.
We don't need your comment every now and then. Fallacious.